If you enjoy truthful and heartfelt conversations to inspire you to become a better version of yourself, Empowering Stories will help you. Hello, Marta. How are you doing?
Very good. Anna, thank you for having me here.
I'm delighted to have you here, and so will everybody, because you're so powerful. Oh my God, I love the things that you do, and I'm sure that the people listening to this will also love what you do. There's so much heart, there's so much love there, and it's so empowering. And without further ado, I'm going to zip it up, and I'm going to let Marta tell us about all these empowering things that she's been doing, and she's doing and planning. Let us know, Marta.
Well, first of all, I just want to notice that it's two of us Spanish women speaking in English, another language, and just noticing the beauty of this and really wanting to share with the English-speaking community. Yeah, something in us is here with the English-speaking community, and I'm just celebrating that.
Mm-hmm.
So beautiful. Yes, I'm not sure what you really want me to, like, it's kind of a broad question, or kind of giving me a space to share who I am or what I'm doing. And
well, what you're doing is bringing a lot of value, and it's very much in connecting with ourselves. Maybe you can tell us what brought you there, or was your journey to get there, with us as much as little detail as you want, and then what is it that you're doing to empower people, if that's okay?
That's okay. Yeah. It's a funny question for me, because I suppose one of the things that I've been working towards is becoming more like a something rather than I am, a part of rather than a big thing, or of identifying myself into a position of any kind. And more, I suppose that's where I'm going. I'm becoming more aware of the part that I am in the sum of this thing that we are inhabiting all together, of this beautiful universe, this beautiful planet, with all these parts vibrating. So
oneness. It's about oneness. It's about oneness, really, isn't it?
Yeah. So I come from a contemplative practice of Zen practice for many years. I live in a small intentional community in South County, Galway, where I decided with my partner to build rebuild a stone cottage, an old stone cottage, and just to remember how is this of living from the land, how it is this thing that we all know from reading books and going to university, of what the meaning of coming back to nature. So we did this, and we also decided to homeschool our own children. So my children are 16 and 13. And we've been home educating our children all these years in a small intentional community with other two families. But this brought, I suppose, the beauty and the challenges of the collective networks that we have been building in order to survive as human beings in this plane, in the surface of this mundane living. And I have to say that this was the best university of them all, living in community and finding ways of acknowledging each other, and how these parts of us that were functioning from the autopilot, or the dead-end stories, dead-end feelings, more kind of the small brain, the reptilian brain governing our actions and perceiving this together.
Wow.
Becoming more the perceiver of this process as we were kind of recovering this more our true nature.
the observer, what's normally we call the observer, to become the observer, to be looking into, from the outside looking in?
For me, there is no difference. And for me, there is no difference. It's just that there is a perceiving aspect of the experience. In the perceiving aspect of the experience, there is a relationship. I am having a relationship with these parts of me that are acting or reacting in life. So I am perceiving the patterns over a period of time and accompanying them in the way they come, rather than pushing them away or abandoning them or judging them in me and others. I suppose the journey has been accompanying and befriending these parts of the survival aspect of the human in me, of the experience. So I suppose, yeah, if I have to say the challenge, the biggest challenge in my life has been to have this landscape, to be with this perceiving the patterns as they were coming in the journey of living in community, in the journey of living in family situation with my partner, with my children, really wanting to offer something emergent and new that was not coming from a conditioned point of view. I don't know if you get me.
Yeah, but I was wondering if maybe you could give us one example. For instance, I used to see me, I don't know, greed or anger or something like that. And then something happened, maybe because we understand things better if they are told through story.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking that maybe for clarity, or you can make it up, or you can tell us somebody else's story or something that you have overcome easily. No, easily to understand and to follow, something that you would have overcome.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I say that I overcome it. What I could say is that I am aware of it more when it can. For example, in this case, if you want me to put example, anger. When anger visits, and there is that part of me that is saying inside when it's triggered by something from the outside, or maybe by a thought in my mind of a judgment of myself or someone else. So I am observing the thought, or I am observing the judgment that my brain is making, and I say hello to it. Hello. As the living aspect, and not as a separated being, but as a companion, as a true companion. Because what we have done in the past, and in a lot of techniques, and even mindfulness, we become the practice, or I did become the practice myself, meditating, for example, for many years, sitting in practice. In Zen, they say, just sit. There is a thought coming, just sit with it, and just sit with it, yeah? Mm-hmm. So the process for me has been using that practice of sitting with, of what it comes, the thinking, the rage, the sensation in the body, and not just leaving it there. I'm relating with it in the sitting with. So I'm staying with as a friend. So I'm befriending it. And I kind of away, I'm kind of almost as if I was sitting right beside this place that is angry inside of me, and saying hello to it. Hello to you. I'm not going to change you. I'm not going to contradict you. I'm just here as a friend.
Okay. So you let anger do its own thing. You acknowledge it, and then you let it do its own thing until it disappears. What happens with it?
What happens is it doesn't matter. The most important thing is that you are not looking for a quick or fast track way to freedom. Really, that you are really in service of just being there with deep listening, compassionate awareness of what is happening in that moment. Not wanting to change it, not to judge it, not to transform it, not to apply one technique or anything like that. The simplicity is massive, is actually quite exquisite. just being there.
Yeah. And does it have any messages for you?
So with time, there might be coming a message, but if, for me, my experience is that when there is, when this part that wants to speak to you feels, if this part feels or senses that some other part of you is wanting to run the show, that you are not there fully as the perceiver, as a hollow bone, then it's not going to come fully into the emergent beauty of what it can do for you. And so it's not going to want anything less than excellence. This part, the body never lies. It will never agree to anything than excellence and exquisite truth from you. This is what it wants. It wants you there fully. So I suppose that's my approach also to accompaniment, with one-to-one accompaniment. I'm teaching focusing, which is a very beautiful method developed by Eugene Gendlin, a psychiatrist and psychotherapist in the 60s, who developed this way of inner inquiry in the body with the felt sense. So he called this place the felt sense, in a way of giving it empowerment to the viscerality of the experience, almost at a molecular
level. The molecular level?
A molecular level, yeah, cellular level. Thank you. Yeah, so it's speaking with our body in a way that is kind of intimate and very luxurious, but we are not used to it. And the brain is going, or the thinking mind, the autopilot is going to try to bring us out of that. So because it can become extinct through that experience. And it is fearful. It is fearful that this may happen. So it needs also accompaniment. When the thinking mind comes, we also have to say hello to that part and give it the space that it needs, because it's done a good job until now. It keeps us here alive. But now maybe we can do something else as well. So just maybe it's like a door opening to a more sensing way of being. And so life becomes more joyous in this sensing place. Also more painful.
Painful?
Painful, and I would say this in a very sweet way. Painful because you start understanding pain from a sweet place. So there is kind of some, and I'm not saying pleasure behind the pain, but there is some sweetness of understanding the pain that there is in life from a compassionate place.
Are you saying, let's see if I can get it well, pain has a role to play for us to experience life fully?
Yes, because pain,
and if we allow it, we can feel it.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're just causing it away from us because we want to run away from pain. We think it's bad, but it has a role. Is that what you mean?
There is a thinking happening at the same time when we experience some pain. And pain for me is a very beautiful place to be. But it's not a stock. Pain is not a stock. Pain comes as another sensation or a feeling or a kind of feeling tone inside of you. That doesn't mean that that has to run the show. It means that wants to be felt fully. Suffering is another thing. Pain and suffering are very different. Suffering is when pain and the thinking mind are getting involved in some sort of a knot.
Not friendly? Not friendly?
Not friendly is when the pain, when the experience of the feeling wants to be analyzed by the thinking mind. This is the suffering. This is what keeps us in the loop of the story or the narrative. And this is what we would call suffering in Buddhism. But pain is very different. Pain is something that is experienced in the moment. You hurt yourself with a knife, and you experience some pain in your body, and then you say hello to this place of pain by caring for it, by cleaning it, by loving it, maybe giving it a kiss. I'm here for you. This is a way of saying I am here for you. Once you have done that, you probably stop feeling the pain. You have been there fully for this place.
It's about being present. It's about being present all the step of the way.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, that's where I'm coming from in terms of accompaniment. So I wouldn't call myself a therapist because I don't like the term therapist. Not because I am or not. I studied many different things, like social mediation and conflict resolution, and focusing, and also certified nonviolent communication trainer, and many other things. But for me, it's very much about being a companion in the healing process, in a way that the person can find their own guidance themselves. So I'm getting really out of the way as soon as I can, making the therapist redundant.
You are a helper because the healing depends on us. Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I prefer the word companion.
Companion.
Yeah, I'm keeping company to the healing process on its own. So it has its own rhythm and its own time, but mainly that the grounded, our present space is being totally done by the person who is doing this work. That I am there just as a companion, nothing more. And there are techniques and there are different things that I would be using, but at the end of the day, it's very much creating a space for self-guidance and self-spontaneous emerging flow, like the river. Like the river is flowing. The river is flowing all the time. If we stop the river, we cannot stop the river.
No, but that's what we do, isn't it? When we don't allow things to flow.
This is what we do,
and to flow. Well, this is the same. Yeah, it's the same metaphor. But I'm thinking, if I don't allow myself to feel the pain because, I don't know, my mother didn't love me the way that I want her to love me, or something like that.
All of that, yeah.
We get that energy stuck somewhere in our cells, yeah, at that level.
Yeah.
Because we block it, because it's too painful, it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And we're not in alignment, and we cannot experience anything else.
Yeah. Just for a moment, if you think about this, it's exactly what you are saying. If you say, I am depressed, imagine yourself saying that to yourself. I am depressed.
Yeah.
Massive. I have bipolar disorder. I am bipolar. I am schizophrenic. This is a massive aggression to all our cells. Massive. Yeah. And we can change that very simply by being aware of the parts of us that are, maybe there is a sense of some sort of depression there in a part of me. So we could change that from I am to something in me. Yeah. Something in me feels a little depressed today. Then you become the authority of your experience. You're not pushing it away, you're acknowledging it, and then you can accompany it yourself. You can be there for this part of you, but you don't have to merge with it. We don't have to merge with them, with the parts. We just need to accompany them.
Go ahead.
Yes.
You were talking about merging. We don't need to merge with
we don't need to merge with the things that come up in our experience.
Yeah.
We don't have to become the experience, but we are experiencing all the time. Yeah. We don't have to be the river. but we can be the experience of what it means to be a river. So the emotions are passing by, thinking is passing by, judgments, stories, memories, maybe a traumatic experience that we had years and years ago keeps coming as an echo from the traumatic collective memory or from the individual memory, internal memory, somewhere hidden in our physical body. And often it comes looking for an edit. It wants to be edited and it wants to be continuously alive. And I guess for me, when this comes, it needs just to be seen as something in me that needs company, like a baby that is crying. We don't close the door and let the baby cry. Well, some people do. That's okay. That's okay, yeah. But yeah, I remember myself looking at these books in the library of Dr. Stiville that was promoting this, and I was promoting to leaving the children cry for 5 minutes. Like there was a sequence of things that you need to do.
I applied that.
My God.
I applied it.
And I'm sure many people try to do that, but the reality is that this is the moment when we start losing the trust as children. We start losing trust as babies, and we stop crying because nobody is going to come for us. And then we start developing mechanisms of survival. The innocence is over. You need to take care of yourselves because nobody is going to come if you cry. It's the same with our parts in our body. So if there is something in me that is sad or is happy or is having an orgasm, it's not the whole of me. There is a part of me that is experiencing that, and I can feel that experience in me and accompany that experience. From that place, there is a lot of information that can happen, and maybe shifts and transformation that can be offered with the quality of accompaniment from the perceiving aspect of who you are. But all of this I know it's very philosophical, and it needs a lot of practice, and for me, what helped was all the years of meditation, actually, and contemplative practices, being in nature.
Yeah, but it's still functioning in the 3D world.
Totally.
Which is the interesting part. Going to India and being there for a month with no connection to the other world through phones or computers, I think it's easier to get very connected with whatever. But then we need to function in the 3D world, and you've achieved that because we can do that.
What I mean, you can have this. You can develop or practice as an everyday practice. Meditation is not just sitting. That's what I discovered after the years of sitting in the cushion, that you don't need to be sitting. Just to be present with every moment as it comes. So when I am in cooking, where are my feet? How am I noticing my body? How I sense the sensations in my body, as how I accompany myself, how I love myself in the sensorial aspect of who I am, while I am in conversation, while I am cooking, while I am cleaning, while I am in a social event, while I am speaking. Where am I? So that's for me very important. And to bring that awareness of my grounding. How am I grounded and supported by this ground underneath me? That's always available at all times. Always, no matter I am in the forest or in a building with businessmen.
Yeah, it could be something as, it's so powerful, and I think it could be as simple as, if I'm peeling potatoes, rather than thinking of this meeting that I'm going to have, or that I'm going to visit my I don't know, my grandmother and I don't get along with her, or my kid, look what he did to me. It's, I'm peeling a potato and I'm seeing the skin and I see the starch and I can feel the wetness, and my hands are here and I can see, and I'm using my eyes to see. It's just as simple as that. We don't need to do anything complicated, really. It's
No.
what am I doing? What? Yeah.
And I would say also, the thought of your having to visit your mother might come in this process. So we are not saying no to that, which in the past we would have said no to this thinking of a story or narratives in our mindfulness practice. We are not saying no to that. We are welcoming also the experience, our psychological process in our thinking mind, and letting them in as well. The importance, I think, the most important thing here is how are you grounded? How aware you are of your grounded nature as a human being, as being part of nature. That's a way of being at home. And when we are at home, we can let any guest come, like a thought of your mother coming, and this conversation that you had yesterday that was a little bit edgy, and you're now kind of feeling a little bit fearful because you don't know what to say now after all that she said. You can feel all of that and include that in your grounded mindful practice as you're peeling the potato. There is a lot of space in the groundedness of who we are. We can let all of this in and say, okay, there you are. There's something in there that is saying all of that around my mother coming. And there is a sense of something in that, a sense of some uneasiness around this future conversation with her. Okay, hello to that. From the grounded space, peeling the potato. Hello to that. I don't need to run with you and making a story of what I'm going to say. I'm not going to stop peeling the potato. Keep grounded. The moment that you lose your groundedness, you are already with the story. That's how it works.
And then we identify ourselves with the story, and we become
the
story rather than becoming ourselves.
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's my experience. And yeah. So it's very beautiful. Simple and yet very, I think it's revolutionary to work with our bodies and to listen fully. Yeah. They will speak with time, but they have to trust. Because so far in our lives we haven't listened properly to those parts of us that have been screaming at us, making life very difficult because another part of us was trying to push away the screams, yeah? Or closing the door. I don't want to hear that. I'm going to close the door and throw the key out. And you went away from all of that, and all of that was in there, like contracted somewhere in your body for years. So we can invite all of that to be here. But the moment that we lose our grounded nature, this is when we are already in the conditioning pattern of, we call it in focusing, we call it dead end feelings, dead end stories. In mindfulness, we call it autopilot. And in nonviolent communication, it's called the jackal. We are the jackal. So we become our shadow more, and we live from the shadow place. But there is much more light than all of that. That wants to be known.
That's why, so many people at certain time in their lives, the midlife crisis, so-called, I think that's why it's becoming, because we are so conditioned to look for instant fixes on the outside. We don't look inside, and then when we get the car, the new wife, the new husband, the sex, the drugs, the position, the money, then that's it. I need another one and another one. But when you're talking about being grounded, we don't need all that.
We don't need anything. It's so cheap, this.
We don't need anything.
This is It's available for everyone. It's and I'm not. I mean, with a lot of respect, and I've been, and you know, I still sometimes I can see myself, you know, all these offerings in the world, trying to bring you to learn more things, and I'm sure we can all relate to that. And yet it's such a relief. It's such a relief to know, because I'm sure when you hear me saying all of that, something in you knows what I'm speaking about. Something in you can relate to all of this. And I'm sure everybody, because it's nothing new. I'm not saying anything new. Actually, I'm speaking to something in you, all of you who are here and who are listening to this. Something in you knows that this language belongs to all of us.
Yes.
And we are desperately trying to get there. Looking, rasping into life almost, no? Rasping into life, into things outside of us. And actually, what we need to do is a U-turn. Like this, a U-turn into here. Because this one needs ourselves more than anybody else.
Indeed. Indeed. You were saying before, Marta, that this could be a bit philosophical and a bit maybe foggy in a way, but I would like to add two things about that. One is that with knowledge and applying it becomes power and wisdom. And when we can name things, I think we can understand them better, because for our left brain is, oh yeah, I get it now. And the more we know, the easier we feel with it. That's number one. And the second one is, even if we don't get all the words that you're saying, even if we don't fully grasp everything, because this is distilled wisdom of many years of practice, what we can all feel is this peace and bliss that comes through the screen with you. Is this inner state of peace, because you're here fully, and we can feel that. Even if we cannot name it, even if we can explain it to a neighbor, it's like, oh, I don't know, I was watching this video with these two Spanish women, and they were talking, and one of them, I just felt so peaceful. And then I was doing the laundry, and I was not saying, why is it that I'm doing the laundry again? I was just putting all the socks in the wash machine, and I was feeling this peace, and I felt great. What is going on here? Does it make sense?
Well, yeah. I guess I don't notice this that much. Very much. You're noticing this. Maybe more, no? But yeah.
Yeah.
I am.
But many of us are living in a rush. I need to go here, and I have to, and I should do, and I shouldn't say, and I have to, and I need to. And that's such disempowering, because it seems that we're living somebody else's life.
Yeah.
If we just can change our narrative, like you're saying, it's like, I'm not depressed. There's something in me. I wrote it down here. There's something in me that now is depressed. So let's observe it. Yeah, my body is feeling this way. Why is that? Let's acknowledge it. Oh, this person said that to me, and that really pushed my button, and now I feel like this, or whatever the message is. And yeah, I acknowledge you. You can go now, or stay with me, but it's okay. If we don't fight it, we can feel more strength, because we are not using energy to push something away. Pushing something all the time, physical or non-physical, it's exhausting, isn't it?
It's exhausting. It's exhausting. And it's going, you know, the more delicate we get into inquiring in our sensing body, in the relationship, in our inner relationship, the more this part that is resisting will come. So there is a process of all of this. And I always say you need to take it one step at a time when we are inquiring in our inner experience. We call this place the felt sense in focusing. And the felt sense is something very beautiful, because it's behind the feeling. It's kind of a little bit deeper than the feeling. Like, for example, you might feel a little bit depressed, and In that, there is something in there that is saying it feels a little depressed. Okay, it's like that for that part now. So it's like that. So acknowledging it, and very quickly you're going to feel it in the body. There is a message in the body that is speaking from that place that has been activated. That needs accompaniment and also acknowledgement, but on its own terms. It's not like we are there as a therapist or as a mother or to try to fix it. Or that's very respectful place of deep listening, with care, with respect. Like, for example, I'm going to give you an example of the quality that it needs, this place. Imagine that you are going into a forest and you're just starting to walk into the forest. And in this forest, you start seeing beautiful trees, lovely oak trees, and lots of moss all around, fern, you name it. Oh, it's such a beautiful, almost really iris forest, native oakland. And you go in there slowly and you stop for a moment and you see a little head, and it's like a deer. You look, and yes, you finally see it. It's like a big deer with the antlers fully there looking at you. How do you deal with that? How are you going to be with this deer? If you move, the smallest of the move is going to make her go away and run from you, because doesn't really know exactly how you are with deers. Her experience so far is that every time that she has seen a human has been to kill her, yeah? Or to damage the forest, or her experience has been like that. So she needs a quality of attention that you are not moving. You are not moving. You are staying there, sitting quietly. And with time, the deer, okay, starts seeing, looking, okay, it's okay. There's some safety here. I can relax a little bit. Starts eating and maybe getting closer. And maybe after a couple of hours, it's getting to 2 meters of you. You're still there. And you are going to notice when the deer wants your company. We don't push this relationship. Not with our inner parts, or not with our other relationships in our life. That's a level of care and respect, which is a really beautiful place, because the deer is going to invite you to come in and tell you her story on its own time, when she's ready, with his own language. And you will understand. So this is a little metaphor, Anna. A little metaphor. Yeah. The deer in the forest. I love this metaphor because it's very much similar to what I'm speaking about, the level of what it means to be a companion in life for ourselves and others.
Yeah. Silence and quietness, that's what we need to listen to the messages that can come to us. The deer inside. It could be a deer outside, but it could be a deer inside.
Yeah, and I'm sure there will be offerings. Something in us will come and say, why don't you go and give some food to the deer? Why don't you tell her how wonderful it is to do this course? Why don't you tell her, I did this therapy and it went very well to me? All of these things that we do. And we stop listening. We stop listening when we do that. To our friends, also to ourselves. We do this all the time, don't we?
Noise, messages and connections and lights and offers and dings here and bells there and noise. There's a lot of noise out there.
Yeah, and the noise can be part of the picture, but we don't have to be the noise. The deer can be there with all the noise inside of us, because the deer is one part, but there will be other parts coming in when the deer arrives. So I'm talking a little bit subtle here. There is subtlety with all of this.
Yeah.
those noises are also welcome. They need a lot of attention, and also they are bringing messages. They are bringing a kind of quality of connection with us that we haven't given to them. That's why they keep repeating these patterns.
Yeah.
So it's
everything needs to be listened to. Everything needs some attention, some acknowledgement.
And the moment that you start coming in, more is going to come in to say hello to you. So that's why for me, very important to say that the importance of grounding is the key. The importance of really keeping that connection with the ground is what it creates for me, the space. Huge space for anything to come and not to get overwhelmed with the amount of things that will come up. Because the inner inquiry in that inner relationship is deep. We go in there and we are going to meet places that we didn't think that they were there. So yes, it's very beautiful to have a support on this journey. I offer support one-to-one, but also very quickly you can do this on your own with a few
Some guidance.
Yeah. As a practice. Yeah.
Yeah, but I suppose that at least at the beginning it helps to have somebody there, because walking into the unknown, as you were saying before, our brain is scared. Listen, I've brought your life up to here and I knew everything. Now, if you're going to go towards a place that's unknown to me, I don't know, you might die. Fear, fear, fear.
Yeah, this might happen, but this happens anyway.
But it's worth it. It's worth it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, is there any other way? Are we going to keep living in suffering? In the suffering paradigm where we are in this endless dead end stories, dead end feelings, like the mouse running in the wheel, believing all the things that we are told from the outside, whether it's from the society or the collective trauma, institutionalized collective trauma, or the collective trauma of our own countries, and how that is applying in our own survival mechanisms. We can do better than that. There is much more that we can access, and this place is magic.
So there was Miriam in our program. She said, "I choose to live rather than to exist," and that's I think it's the same concept, isn't it? We can exist and be in the wheel like the mouse, or we can live. But to live, we need to dive into this unknown that is our full potential and our connection with everything.
Thank you for that. That for me is the word, to be okay with the unknown. Because you mentioned something around, we need the concepts for our cognitive part of the brain to really process things, and yet they are just techniques, or they are just information that we still have the authority to translate in our own terms. So we have the authority of our own learning processes as well. We can gather the information from a book or from someone that has some knowledge around neurobiology, for example, or trauma, or you name it, and still that we have the authority to connect it to our sense, the bigger mind, which is all of this, is the interconnectedness of our brain, all this, our heart area, our gut. It's a complex mind. It's not just, we are not separated, it's a complex mind. So we need to involve all of our being.
Yeah. After all, we have neurons everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, there are clusters of neurons, tons of them in the heart, a lot of them in the stomach, and loads of neurons. So anatomically, we're prepared for that.
Yeah, of course. And I think we are just living in a small place of what we can become.
Oh, that's beautiful. Say it again. I love that. I love that. Yeah, we're living small. We can
Because we
live
believe,
much bigger.
suppose we believe this paradigm, meaning we have believed the stories that we've been told. We carry that systemic baggage from our own family systems, from our own institutions. We keep carrying it. So when we get this information and we have the experience, how do we respond? The ability of responding, and I love this in English, responsibility. For me, it's not. It has a different meaning. Responsibility is the ability to respond to life, and my ability to respond to life is when I am connecting with my full sense of the experience of being a human being, not just from the belief systems, not just from the conditioning paradigm of death and stories, death and feelings. When I involve my body, a place that is not known, a place that doesn't have a theory booklet on how to follow that, is different for each of us. That is, and it has its own messages for each of us. And it is in connection with everything else. That place in us is in connection with life, with a celebration of existence.
Yeah. The uniqueness of each one of us. The uniqueness. And I'm thinking of how so many people out there is 5 steps to become great, and 10 steps to be rich, and 7 steps to see master your life. And I don't know what you think about this, Marta, but what I think is that each one of us, we have our own way. Yes. We have had our own experiences, and by sharing those experiences, that's how we become great. By mastering the opportunities put in front of us in our lives. Trying to follow somebody else's steps is, well, it worked for them, but not necessarily for me. And if we follow them and we don't get the same result, well, yeah, you're not them.
I totally agree with that. And I would say we have to be very careful when we are in a learning experience with anybody else, with any teacher. Not like suspecting of something wrong with them, or that they are not going to offer the best for us. But for me, one very important aspect of the work that I'm doing is I really love when there's someone in front of me that can be there to help me, not to follow instructions. You get me? Instructions, not to follow instructions. And that for me is another level then.
Yes.
And that also brings me to a place of yes. And then there is all these lovely people, which I have been learning from, you know. I've been learning from teachers like Peter Levine and David Rome, and many people, mindfulness teachers and trauma therapists that have a lot to offer in the techniques that they have developed. Daniel Siegel, for example, I've been working a lot with what he's been teaching around the neurobiology of we. There is so much beauty in everything that they are offering to the world, and yet, for me, it's how I am when I am receiving that information within myself. I'm saying hello to that. This is something from the outside coming inside of me, how I am caring for myself when I get something from the outside. Hello to all of that. It might resonate, it might not resonate. I have to do a little bit of a process for myself, and often with practice, this is very fast. I don't want you to think that this is very complicated, because it's not. It's quite like an inner pendulum, but not to say this is right and this is wrong, not from the right-wrong thinking, you know? It's more from a place of there's something in there that is wanting a relationship with that. Hello to all of that. And from that relationship, from that information that is coming in, I'm finding something new within me that is being awakened by the invitation of this person. Wonderful. Then it becomes, then actually, you will never forget this. You will never forget this learning. because you have been integrating it as you were reading or as you were listening to this person in your own experience of the receiving end. Yeah, so all of that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's like it's a wake-up call. It's some piece of information to open a little door and then access to your own library, if you will. We have our own
Basically.
library. We all
And
have.
we are totally. And once we are there in the library, Anna, we can start cataloging what is there. Yeah, we can start saying, okay, all of that. Wow, there's so much in there. There you are. Okay, that part of me that is telling me that my dad was angry with me and he beat me for 7 years. All of that is there. Okay. Okay, these other parts says that I'm not worth it. Okay, all of that. There's another part here. Oh, I was abused by my doctor when I was 7 years old. All of that can be there. But doesn't have to become your experience now in the present moment. This is not who you are. You can be meeting these places. And we can stop editing the memory of these times.
Yeah, it's parts of the movie.
Yeah, but what happens with this is that we keep calling these traumatic events of our lives, and we keep changing it in the narration of our own story. This is what we do. If not, remember, we can remember many moments of our life that if you think about it, when we narrate something that keeps coming to us, we keep changing the narration. How much of that is true after 20 years? I don't know.
Very little.
So and I'm not saying that some of it was true. Yes, something happened there, and we need to hear all of that. But what we need to stop is the editing of the story and bringing the story over and over again to keep reliving it. It's another pattern that we have created.
Overall, bringing up the emotions, the negative emotions, because it's the positive is fantastic, but when it's the negative, there's no point.
We are in trance. In both ways, we are in trance, whether they are positive or negative. We are becoming the emotion. We are not fully here. We have left the house.
Yeah.
There is some trance.
Yeah. The potato's gone.
Everything is going to become the bliss of being in nature, and this is wonderful, and life is so powerful. All of that is also trance. And I'm not saying that we can experience that very beautifully, but actually, presence doesn't have a strong presence, and beauty doesn't have a strong outburst of anything. It just is. Doesn't need to do anything with it. Doesn't need to tell it. Doesn't need to become anything. Doesn't need to write a book about it. And yes, I'm not saying not to write in books or anything like that. Of course, we can write books about it, but presence doesn't need any more than just being. This is what it wants. Because
it's about being.
It's about being, because in that being, we are together. You are part of the whole. And that's, and I know this is, I get emotional because this is it's a fresh edge for me.
It's amazing now that you say it. Yeah, if we can become part of the whole, we can experience everything now.
Even the pain of the world, even the pain of the conditioning, even the pain of my neighbor who is different than me and wants to keep giving hugs now that we are in isolation, and I don't want to give any hugs because my belief is that I don't have to give any hugs and keep the distance of 2 meters, small things like that. You start understanding what the world went through, how people designed themselves in order to survive in this institutionalized collective trauma.
As if we were in jail, on the outside of a jail, just a bigger one.
And I am laughing because it is, but I am laughing with the belly of, the belly of the Buddha, like that. I'm laughing like really from a place of compassion and beauty, and where I am part of it as well. I'm not by any means away from this that I'm talking about.
Of course, we are one with everything.
We are one. I am there experiencing the pain, and sometimes the painful autopilot as well. It catches me like everyone else. And the more we practice, and the more we become aware and perceive this place, the bigger mind, anything that happens in there, we can welcome. And can actually, it shifts. It's like we start doing shape-shifting. But we don't need to know much about this. We don't need to analyze it. We don't need to speak about it. It's just happening from this level of being here.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Sometimes I look at a cat that appeared at the window, and we welcome him in. He comes, he goes, and he's so much in bliss. He's in the moment, lies down, lets himself be pet. He loves it. He comes, he goes, and I say, wow, he's such a master of mindfulness.
Yeah, I love that.
This is exactly what we pay tons and millions of euros, dollars, pounds, you name it, to become. And we have it in front of us. Just be like a cat, be like a bird, be like, they just are. They don't plan. They go naked about. They don't have a house. They don't possess anything. They just connect with nature and they know. Remember having a female cat. She had been brought up with us, didn't have a clue how to look after kittens. Yet when the kittens came out, she knew exactly what to do with them because she was fully connected. We have it there.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Yeah, they are such a great teachers, cats. Great teachings.
I agree.
Yeah. They are great teachers, the great teachings of a cat. And there is I remember when they did a cat meditation, the great teachings of the cat kingdom. Just a spontaneous thing that came one time when I was doing a retreat. Because there were lots of cats in that place that we were in. Yeah, they are masters. They know how to be. They know how to lie down and fully rest every single muscle, every single part of their bodies, fully.
Yes.
Nothing else to do.
Yes. 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 So now you know, instead of going to a therapist, get yourself a cat. And learn from the cat. Just do what they do and you'll be happy. Blissful, at least blissful. Blissfully happy.
Yeah. And and there is a lot to say for those of us that sometimes we struggle and there is overwhelm because this is the paradigm we have been learning from, and we have believed that we have to be in overwhelm in order to change things and to transform. And I have all my heart goes for that those people that are calling themselves depressed, anxious, all of that, bipolar, because they have believed it, and this is very sad to hear more and more when I hear these I ams in people, believing that the whole of them is that's it. Such powerful thing. Yeah, it's a powerful thing to do to you, and a powerful thing to relieve you from this, to release you from this wave of full label in front of you for all your life, because that's what it does when you say something like that to yourself.
Yeah. Even if you're not, you become that.
Yeah, you're imprinting it by saying it. Yeah. It can take years to get away from that after having done that damage, and not just by yourself, but also by the institutionalized health system. And unfortunately, that's where we are still.
Yeah, indeed. Well, but hopefully one person at a time.
One person at a time. Yeah.
One person at a time will get there.
Wow. Yes, and I'm sure a lot of people are getting what I'm saying, because we all have been there, and we all don't want to be there in that place.
Indeed. Indeed. And we can help from the other side.
Yeah. Or share. Yeah, share our parts more as companions as well.
Wow, so beautiful, Marta. So much wisdom. And overall, is this feeling of calmness and bliss that you bring. It's so contagious. It's fantastic. What do we say to people who want to get in contact with you? We're going to put it underneath the video, but if you can let us know where to contact you.
Yeah, you can contact me at my email address, which you will put in there, marta@green/spiral.com. You can also visit one of my websites. My personal website is now in kind of rebuilding it, and it will be out in about a month. But one of my websites is greenspiral.com. And there's kind of a little, like a slash or hyphen in between green and spiral.
Green and spiral, love it. .com. Yeah, we'll put it in the video, and they contact you there.
Yeah, I offer courses in focusing and nonviolent communication and one-to-one sessions.
Here in Ireland, online, how do they work?
Mainly online at the moment, because it's very helpful now.
Yes.
Also, people can visit me.
In Galway, yeah. And if it's online anywhere in the world, at least in 2 languages.
Yes. Yeah. But basically, it's for me the important thing is accessing the inner wisdom, the inner gifts that are there, and that's where my gift is, or my offering comes, or the serving, really serving into this place of finding what you already have, what you never lost, really. Finding what you never lost.
That's very empowering, because sometimes we think that is gone because we didn't act on it when we could. But feeling and thinking, oh my God, it's still there. I can still be rescued. My gifts are still there. I can still act on my dreams. I can still do that. There's time.
Totally.
That's fantastic news. Very empowering. Marta, what a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, love. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.